My name is Stephen Langford. I chose the book The Color of Law, written by Richard Rothstein, published May 2nd, 2017. Um, the text generally, the text explains and demonstrates how local, state, and federal governments promoted segregation, separation of the races legally and illegally, and by not enforcing laws on the books. It gave a good example of, it showed how they use wage suppression, zoning, infrastructure to ensure that they kept the races separate. They used law enforcement and legislation to make sure the races were separate. And these things can be seen, effectively things can be seen all the way to today. Like the large cities are actually separated between black and white, and they're separated by highways. Reading the text made me remember back to when I was a young man. I lived in a project called Bedford Court, and Bedford Court was basically a textbook where they were talking about, it was former military housing built around the war that was used to house black employees that worked on Redstone Arsenal. When they no longer leave the housing was turned over to the housing authority. The housing authority pretty much moved all black people in there. It was in it 100% black, and it was divided by 431. So all the blacks were isolated on this side, and all the whites were isolated on this side, the other side. And when the text brings these things up, I can see how these things came to be. Overall, I really enjoyed reading the book. It was very informative. You can see how the choices, decisions they made earlier have ramifications of things that are going on today. Why certain demographics or certain areas of the city are the way they are. You can tell the difference between North Huntsville and South Huntsville. And now, when you look at it, you can see and understand why it was segregated. It's still somewhat segregated, but the things they put in place is keeping things in that order. As far as housing goes, it talked about how white houses or white neighborhoods generated wealth, and the value of their homes went up, whereas black neighborhoods, the value just kind of stayed stagnant. These things can also be seen around Huntsville, where you go to Whitesburg, houses might be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 that may have been purchased for $80,000, and you go to, let's say, the north side around Meadow Hills and Winchester, and the house might have been bought for $80,000. At this point, it's only worth $100,000. So the equity hasn't nearly matched what's going on the south side of town. Just overall, just reading the book made me aware of these things, and made me think about why things are the way they are. It explained it, it showed it. Overall, the book does an excellent job of pointing these things out. And when I look around me and I see my surroundings, I can see the effects of those policies that were put in place. And overall, I would recommend the book. I enjoyed reading the book. It was very informative.